Hey everyone, today we're going to be looking at how to make an analog clock that will synchronise with your in-game time. We'll only need a couple of 2D nodes and some very basic trig in script. Starting with our empty scene, I'm just going to drop a sprite and a camera in so we can see what we're looking at before we get going. And just to say, we'll also be working off the assumption that you should already have some kind of system in your game to manage time. In this case, I've just created a dummy game manager that increments time in the process function. Now let's create our new scene and name the root object clock face. Then we'll be using line 2Ds for the hands. A line 2D just draws a line between multiple points. For our use case, one of those points will always remain fixed at the origin and therefore can be kept at 0, 0, while the other will make its way around the circle. To demonstrate this, at 12 o'clock, the line's Y value would decrease by however long we want the hand to be. To make it easier, I'll just use 100. And at half past, the same thing, but a positive Y value. For quarter past and quarter to, the Y value will be 0 and the X value will range between -100 and 100 in the same way. Some of the complexity when scripting this can be shown between those 4 times. For example, setting our X and Y to 100, 100 to get the angle between quarter past and half past would actually result in the hand being too long. So we'll need to stretch our minds back to high school trigonometry to work out what the angle and the length should be. Don't worry though, I will just give you the answer shortly. Before we dive into the script, I'm just going to update the width and colour of our existing hand, then duplicate it for the hour hand and shorten it slightly. In this case, I'll just use a length of 60. And that's actually all we need in terms of nodes. So let me create a script and attach it to our clock face, and then we will write some code. To start with, we can get rid of our ready function, we won't be needing that, and then I'm going to define some variables at the top here. We use an enum to select if we're calculating for the minute or hour hand, and then define the lengths for each in a constant. Next, as we'll be needing to manipulate our 2 nodes, let's create references to them. I'm doing that just by dragging and holding Control to drop them into the editor. And then let's get to work scripting our function. In our function, we'll take the hand enum in as a parameter, and then dependent on which is passed in, we will switch, or as GDScript calls it, match to determine the length and the angle. For the target length that will be used in a later calculation, we'll just assign our constant for now, and then for the angle, well, there's 60 minutes in an hour and 360 degrees in a circle, therefore each minute will represent 6 degrees in the circle. We also need to convert this to a radian, which we can use Godot's built-in function for. The hour calculation is slightly more complex but still uses the same logic. Each hour represents 1/12 of the 360 degrees, and this time we also need to take the minutes into account, but a minute on the hour hand represents just half a degree, and there's 720 minutes to an hour. We could also work this out just by multiplying hours by 60 and adding our minutes to get the same result. Once we've got our length and our angle in radians, all we need to do is use some very basic trigonometry to calculate the X and Y coordinates for the end of our hand. I'll throw up a diagram to try and help you understand what these mean, but if you don't, that's okay. You can just copy and paste them. Finally, now that we've got our function in place, the last thing to do is actually to just set the points on our hour and minute hands to what we've calculated. And that's it, it really is that simple. Let's drop this scene into our main game scene, move it on top of our clock object and scale it as appropriate, and then hit play. And as we can see, as the game time increases, the clocks go round the face accordingly. This is obviously dictated by the speed in which we define our game time in the game manager. So if we update this to be faster, we can see the hands start whirring around a bit faster as well. I hope that's been helpful and easy to follow. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.